Good morning again, folks. As I said before, we're going to talk about a lot of different things on these videos. I want you to know as much as possible about everything that there is to know about. Today we're going to talk a little bit about gardening. It's getting about that time. It's another beautiful sunny day here in Snowflake, Arizona. It's about, 65 degrees right now. Sunny, no clouds. So my buddy and I are talking about putting in a garden, and we thought, why not just record it while we're doing it? So the garden's going to be back down here to my right a little bit, and we're going to till up some of the ground. The ground here is completely different than where it may be where you live. We have a lot of alkali here. It's one of the things the cacti love is alkaline soil. So we're going to talk about some mulching, some compost, and different things that the people out here in the West we have to contend with that. Some of you folks back east or overseas, you have good topsoil. We have poor topsoil, very few nutrients for the plants. So anyway, we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. So first off, we'll talk about potatoes. Now, I stopped into a horticulture place not long ago, and a guy shared a little secret with me. A couple of years ago, I tried growing potatoes in my garden, and I had a lot of plants that came up, but not very many potatoes. So what he told me was to take a 55-gallon drum, plant your potato eyes, the little spot that you see. You leave the potatoes under your sink for a while, and you notice they've got sprouts on them. Okay? Each one of those little eyes will have a sprout, and that's where a new potato plant comes from. But if you take the 55-gallon drum and plant your eyes, 5 or 6 of them, in that 55-gallon drum with about, a foot of dirt, when the plants start to come up, you watch it. When the tops get about 10, 12 inches high, 8 inches high, put some more dirt in it. Fill it up to the tops of the plants again. And just keep doing that. Keep doing the layers, because potatoes will grow and produce potatoes from the stalks, from the root that those stalks produce. So as you gradually fill up this 55-gallon drum, you'll have more and more and more potatoes. When it's ready to harvest, kick that 55-gallon drum over, and you'll have all these potatoes in there. So that's just a little tip that he shared with me. I'm going to try it this year. I haven't done it yet, but according to this guy in hydroponics, it works great. So anyway, we're going to get to the mulching area. All right. Now, to build your compost, you can take a drum. There's many different ways to do it. You can just put it out on the ground, whatever. But throw your organic trash, garbage, into this pile. Banana peels, vegetable peels, leftover vegetables, things like that. Put no meat products in your mulch pile, in your compost pile. And you have to turn it once in a while, so you're going to need a pitchfork. Now, for you folks that might live in a city and may not have too much room, use a 55-gallon drum. Put it on your patio or something. Put it in your backyard. As you continue to fill this drum up with your byproducts, your waste, put a little dirt on top of it. Let it compost. It won't stink. I can almost guarantee you that, depending on what you put in it. You put meat products in there, it's gonna reek. So just put vegetable byproducts in there. Cover it with a little bit of dirt. Continue to do this, but once in a while you need a pitchfork to turn this stuff. Okay? And turn it so it can breathe and decompose. I've done it before, and I've put worms in my compost. The worms will eat the organic material, and they go poop in the garden, they go poop in the dirt. Those are worm castings. That's one of the best fertilizers you can get. Continue to do this. Continue to do it. Feed your worms. Put a little water in it. Not wet, but moist. Continue to do that. As you amass 1, 2, 3 tubs of compost, then when it's all done, you can take and put it on your garden. You can make a raised garden. You can make an elevated garden. Whatever you want to do. Here we have a problem with rabbits, so we're going to have to fence our garden so the rabbits can't get in. All right, and also keep the dogs out because they like to get in there and dig. But as you go, you can put different plants in. You can go to the nursery and buy different plants. Many people buy tomato plants, squash plants, things like that. Remember, when you go to a nursery, all plants are phototrophic, which means they're light sensitive. Okay, so try and plant your plants in the direction that they've been growing for a while. You fellows notice your wife's plants in the kitchen. They'll lean toward the sun, and you have to turn them once in a while. Okay, you're hardening the skin on those plants. By plants being phototrophic means they will continue to grow toward the sun. All right, which leaves the skin on 180 out of the plant. You go, if the plant's growing this way, the skin is hardening here and hardening here to protect it from the sun. These two sides of the plant, the skin will be thinner. So when you plant your plants, try and plant them in the same direction as what they've been growing. Okay? Now, sometimes that's hard, but if you buy your plants from a nursery, try to figure out which way they've been growing. Ask your nurseryman how long they've been sitting there. And if they've been sitting there for 2 or 3, 4 weeks or a month without being disturbed, try and plant those plants in the same direction as toward the sun that they've been growing. Your survival rate will increase. Okay, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to all grow, but your survival rate will increase. When you take them out of the pot, you'll notice if they've been sitting for a long time, roots are just growing right up against the side of the pot, all over the place. Try not to disturb those roots if you can. There's a lot of hair roots in that mass of roots. That's what allows the plant to absorb water. Okay, the bigger roots absorb nutrients. The little tiny hair roots absorb water. So try not to disturb those roots too much, because you'll damage them and the plant will die. I like to use the little cardboard containers and just plant the whole thing. All right. Now, like I said, here in the West, our soil is very alkaline, or it has a lot of volcanic rock in it. So we have to prepare our soil so that it gives the maximum amount of nutrients to the plants. Now, we've got our compost pile going. It's not ready yet. We still have a month, 6 weeks of winter. Doesn't look like it, but we do. So anyway, we're building this compost pile, and we're going to use that to feed our plants with and make the soil a little more acceptable to different forms of plant life. Right now it's just too acidic and too alkaline. So what we're going to do, we're going to work on putting the garden in today. We're going to take a little tractor. Yeah, I know that's modern, but we're going to take a little tractor because I don't feel like plowing with a horse. All right. Now, when you get that garden finished, we're going to make a raised garden. So when you get your garden all prepared, don't do it haphazardly. You will be disappointed. in your end product. So spend a little time, spend a little work. It is a lot of work to have a productive garden. But spend some time, make it right, and you'll be happy with the end product, with your vegetables. All right. What to plant? All right. Some of the guys back east, you have very fertile ground, topsoil. Out here, like I said, we have a lot of alkali. We have a lot of acid. So we have to prepare the soil so it's about pH negative. You can go to a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a nursery or a garden shop, and you can buy the little things you stick in the ground. It tells you what your pH is, what your moisture content is. It makes it a whole lot easier. There are a lot of things that you can put into the soil to raise or lower the pH. Tomatoes, I've been told they like acidic soil. So you don't want to make that pH negative. But as you go through, you'll find out. You learn a little more. There's a ton of different videos on how to garden and all that, so we're not going to get really in-depth on that. I'm not a horticulturist, so, but for plants, all right, we have good luck out here with viney type plants like squash, different kinds of squash. I've never had much luck with watermelons or cantaloupes or strawberries. I don't know why, but it just hasn't done well. But you can plant a garden that will help to sustain your family throughout the winter with vegetables. All right. Now, some people love vegetables, some people don't. But it is a food source. It's a food source that we may need someday. You can dehydrate it. You can can it. And there again, there's a whole Madrid, you know what I mean. There's a whole lot of ways to preserve your vegetables. Dehydration. I've made solar dehydrators. They work great. As we go through, maybe I'll teach you how to make a solar dehydrator. There again, there's a ton of videos on YouTube and other places that will tell you how to make a solar dehydrator. You don't have to be a master carpenter to make a lot of this stuff. You don't have to be a master horticulturist to have a good garden. All it takes is a little common sense. Now, insofar as fertilizers, the little ranch that I'm on here today has some horses, and you can see them in the background once in a while. Okay, so we're going to use some horse manure to mulch up our ground because it is hard and it's very rocky. But we're going to use some horse manure. Now, green horse manure or green manure of any kind will absolutely kill your plants in a very short period of time. So you want to make sure that all the manure that you use has dried out to the point that it's just almost dust. All right? Because otherwise there's too much nitrogen in it. As you water your garden, as it rains, the nitrogen will leach down into the soil. Plants need nitrogen, but not a whole lot. I've learned by experience putting green or not completely cured manure on my garden killed everything within 2 days. Okay? So you want to make sure that any manure that you use has been leached out and a lot of the nitrogen is gone because it's just too much for the plants. It'll burn them. And so anyway, we're going to use horse manure as a medium for our garden. There's a bunch back here that's been here for a couple of years, and it's pretty much just dust, but that's what we're going to use. So as we go on today, we're going to take the tractor out, and we're going to start tilling the soil, getting it ready. But it's going to take, I don't know how big he wants his garden this year, but it's going to take a while to get all this done.